Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we will be moving from a simple case and build transient scenarios. So we'll be building a shutdown case followed by a restart case. Before doing that, I just wanted to make a small correction in the plot which we generated in the previous tutorial. It's pretty evident actually. I just wanted to change the location of these arrows actually. One is pointing towards temperature and another one is also pointing, one is pointing towards temp towards pressure and the other one is also pointing towards pressure, whereas the temperature one should point to the temperature. So we just move this down up here. Yeah, and that's about it. You could save that and let's move on to the next set of cases. So double click on Olga 7.2.3. So say open case and select the case, select the location where you saved the case, say overwrite on that. Still opening up. Yep, that's now open. The first thing which we got to do now is to try and make a copy of this case so that we can change the case. So we say duplicate case and then we say we rename the case. Let's call it as base case tute shutdown. So now you could see two files in that, two cases actually in the model view. So we go to that and start modifying it. The first thing is go to the case definition, go to case definition. We've done that. Go to restart and then go to the properties folder, properties window actually, and then pick up the file where you've got the restart file at. So we've got the restart file here, so you see, select and open it. This .rsw files will contain all the information that Olga needs to initialize from the steady state cases. So we don't want it to initialize from the steady state case. So what we need to do is go to file, that's done, case. Where do we go for integration? Yep, that's all good. Options, yep. And options, we just say steady state is off because it's a transient scenario and we've already given it the initial conditions. Um, we've done the restart file. So we go to integration and change the time, amount of duration we want to run the simulation for. Let's have it in say hours and say let's say 80 hours. And yep, it's going to be 5 seconds. You might have to modify if we've got max as 5 seconds, we might have to modify it if the simulation crashes. You've got to be watching this simulation actually, because Olga doesn't like when the system isn't flowing. So because it's a shutdown scenario, we've got to make sure there is nothing flowing in the system. So we need to go to the source and turn off the source. So we are going to say that that's 0. So that's all done. So that's actually good. And what we've got to do is, as I said earlier, watch out for numerical discrepancies in Olga. It might try and give you unstable environment and it might result in unphysical behavior. So you have to go through and watch your trend plots, and if you see for behavior which is not physical, you just have to go and play with the time step here we've got. So yeah, so try and play with the max dt and the min dt, try and play around with it and try and get it to work. But yeah, so what you do next is verify the simulation verification has succeeded, and it's pretty much ready to go. So that's the shutdown scenario. The next scenario which I would like to explain is the restart scenario. For that, you know, select the shutdown scenario, duplicate the case, and instead of base case queued shutdown, say base case queued restart. So that's generated another file for us. So then, so restart is just the opposite of shutdown scenario. The first step you do is go and turn on your source. So let's say we turn on the source and say we say 20 kgs per second. Um, and as usual, we just have to make sure we say steady state is off, which is already defined in our options actually. Steady state is off, that's fine. And one thing which you need to be sure is go into the file, not to files, go to restart actually. And we've set the restart file as the steady state file. This is just because I've duplicated from the shutdown scenario. But the actual restart case, you just have to change this restart file to start from the end point of the shutdown scenario. But as we haven't done the as I haven't run the shutdown scenarios, I wouldn't have the rsw file to select from there. So for that moment, it's just saying it's steady state RSW. But when you actually do your simulations, you would have to finish your shutdown scenarios, make sure they are complete, and then you've got to select, you've got to do your restart scenario. Why? Because you need those initial conditions for your whole system to start from when it's going to restart. That would make a logical sense then. So you go and select the restart file from the shutdown scenario. But otherwise, it's all good. You just have to change the duration as well. So let's go to integration, and you just change that back to 24 hours. Again, you could have numerical discrepancies, numerical errors popping out from Olga. You just have to play with your max dt and min dt just to be sure, so that there is no error. But just to begin with, do not play with your max dt min dt. If it crashes, then go on and play with your max dt and min dt and get that to work. Another important thing to know is you could debug in Olga as well. Like you can see what Olga uses as time step, and then use that and then you that gives you a feel of what time step you should set that onto. So the options is debug. So if you say debug equals on, it will show you what time step the simulation is running at. But the simulation, but then the time to run the simulation is a lot longer, because the screen takes a longer time to update, because it's showing you all your calculations. So the speed of the simulation is slower. But if your simulation is crashing, if you want to debug, you just have to make sure the debug is on, so that you actually know what Olga is doing and when is it crashing and stuff like that. And other important thing is the fluid file. I haven't changed the fluid file for this scenarios, because I already have a wide range in terms of pressure and temperature. If for example, if you start with a narrow range for your steady state case, You can go and widen up your pressure and temperature bounds for your multi-flash fluid by going to the multi-flash fluid. Make sure you keep the fluid ID the same, because Olga would crash if you change the fluid ID. So you have to make sure you have the fluid ID the same, but you can play around with the pressure and temperature and increase your bounds. uh, that this is how you set your transient cases. That's it on this video. Thanks.